recording here. Good morning, everyone. This is Pauline Chung. I'm the Director of Communications and Marketing for the San Mateo Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm honored to present today Shelley Golden. She's a personal branding image consultant and fashion stylist. Shelley's has been a consultant for more than 20 years, sorry. And she has lots of experience. Her owner of Shelley Golden Style is her company. She's passionate about helping create your unique style to boost your confidence and attract people you want to in your life, both professionally and socially. She helps both individuals and corporations have great influence and attract more clients by creating a powerful, unique personal brand through your clothing and overall image. So today we're going to talk about our image as we can portray it through Zoom. So feel free to type in the chat window. I ask you that you remain muted throughout unless we call on you. You can put questions in the chat. I'll help moderate. We are recording this in hopes to place it on our YouTube channel later. And I'll turn it over to Shelley.
Okay, good morning, everybody. So nice to see you and be back here again after first attempt. Thank you for the introduction. And that's what I have been doing in the pre-COVID world. And as a result of COVID, since I'm really good at helping people look better, feeling more confident in person, I've transitioned, I've pivoted to literally helping people look good is what I call in the box. And I've come up with a 5-step process, and I'm going to take you through that so that you can understand all the little elements that it takes to look more presentable, be more approachable, be more intimate with people. I was going for a power walk the other night, and I was looking at the houses in my neighborhood, and I realized that's what I'm doing, is I'm helping people's curb appeal. Because when people are looking at you online, they're not just looking at you as though you were sitting with them at the same table. They're now looking at you in your background, in your lighting, and it's completely different than their background and lighting. Whereas if you were sitting at the same table with them, you both have the same, more or less, same background, same lighting. So everybody's unique, and this way I'm trying to help you with components so that you are more of the bullseye, you're the focus, you're the main event. Hi, Liz. So I have a slide presentation that I'm going to share with you. So I'm going to share my screen with you now and take you through this presentation. Let me see, let me get myself situated here. Okay, and I'm going to diminish you so I don't see myself or anybody else. So, okay, welcome. So the name of my company is Shelley Golden Style, and I'm a personal branding image consultant and fashion stylist, and I really work with people to help them with their brand. Who are you? What does your brand say about you? And how do you come off to the people that you're talking with? So today we're going to talk about up-leveling your screen presence on Zoom, whether it's Zoom or WebEx or Skype. It's how to present yourself in your best possible light, so to speak. And I've come up with this 5-step program, 5-step process, really, that for what I call a Zoom makeover, because it's literally, it's not like a body makeover, it's a Zoom makeover. And the first step is camera angle. You don't want to be looking at the ceiling, you don't want to be looking at the floor, you want to be looking in the camera. Then we're going to talk about lighting. And lighting is actually the very first thing people notice when they look at you in your box. Are you in the dark? Are you in the light? Are you lit from the side? Are you lit from the back? Next, we're going to talk about background. And again, can somebody mute themselves? I hear some background noise. So speaking of background, so we're going to talk about background because it's not just you, it's everything around you. Then we're going to talk about clothing and color clothing that works for you in your space. And for the women, I also have some makeup tips, because this is a 2-dimensional screen, and how to create a 3-dimensional look on this flat surface. But the one thing that I've noticed, so at the beginning of COVID, I had my laptop, because I'm not used to sitting at a computer all day long. I'm out and about with clients. And I was having horrendous neck pain. It was really, really bad. And so I realized I needed to change where my camera is. So I want you to notice a couple things. First of all, this person is sitting very straight in a supportive chair. The arms and shoulders, the arms, the elbows are at right angles. The hips and the knees are all at right angles. So this is ergonomically correct. And it's best for your posture. But what I want you to take note of is the little dotted line between the eyes and the camera. And that is what we're going to be focusing on for starters. So this is a screen grab that I just found on the web, but I thought it portrayed exactly where I'm trying to take people. So there's a couple of things I'm going to point out. First of all, the first thing you notice is that everybody's face is lit up. That you can see everybody's face pretty much even, that the light is even left and right on their face, as though they're sitting in a well-lit room. And you can actually look at their eyes, and in some cases you can see the color of their eyes. So the lighting is the first thing you notice. The next thing is that their eyes are in the top third of their box. So they're all relatively even, and that their armpits are at the bottom of the box. And the reason this feels so nice, it's as though they're all sitting at the same table, and they're all at the same level. And when you're talking to somebody on Zoom, you want to feel that they are looking at you in the eye. You want to feel like you're at the same table. And that's what is so great about this. So, camera angle. First camera angle. You don't want to be looking at anybody's ceiling. That is what you do not want. So I just wanted to show you, this is the magic of what I do. So this is a Zoom makeover. It's a 90-minute, I had a one-on-one session. She's a vice president at Intel. And an hour and a half later, I'm just going to walk you through a couple of things that we did, and then we'll just kind of talk about the 5 steps. So 1, we adjusted the camera angle. She's now looking in the camera. Number 2, the lighting. You can see the incredible glare coming through this window. So what we did is she put 3 pieces of printer paper in the window to cut the glare. But now the light coming through is still the same color light as the window behind her. There's also a 3rd window in front of her that we put pink construction paper in. And this gives her a pinkier look, so she doesn't look so dark and brown. She looks more natural. Her skin color is more natural. She also has an extra light that she purchased. This was actually 4 days later. We also cleaned up the background behind her. That little table was a mess. We went in her closet. We figured out what color clothing works for her in her space. And we also talked about some makeup. So this is a Zoom makeover. How to make yourself look more presentable, more the focus of the attention, so that people can concentrate on you. So again, you don't want to be looking up anybody's nose, under the chin. You don't want to be looking at anybody's ceiling. You also don't want to be looking at anybody's floor. You don't want the camera to be able to see the top of your head. And for women who get their hair dyed, who maybe can't get their hair dyed right now, you don't want to see any skunk lines, or that your hair is growing out. So again, you want to see the camera straight on. And so this woman is a dietitian. So I'm just showing you her before and after. So you can see we changed the camera angle. We changed the lighting, even though it's not even left and right on her face, but you can actually feel like you're looking at her face now. We also got rid of the backlight, which she said was more intense in the afternoon. Luck had it, she happened to have a painting that fit perfectly in the window. And so this way we got rid of the backlight and we could just focus on the light that was coming in from in front of her. We also got rid of some of the heavy brown furniture, moved this leather chair over, upholstered it with a backside of a duvet cover, because she's actually a dietitian at Palo Alto Medical Foundation. And when her patients come to see her in a hospital setting, she's in a clean, pristine office. So I was trying to create that clean line, pristine feeling in her home, as opposed to kind of a busy, dark feeling. So this is another example of just a few little tweaks, and again, cleaning up the bookshelf and making it look presentable. So step 2, lighting. So you want the lighting to come in from the front of you, and you want it ideally to be as natural as possible. You don't really want it from your computer because then you get this effect. And it's really kind of an eerie effect. So it's also important that the lighting in your room is adequately lit. This is an example of a client that I worked with who was backlit. Even though you can see the blinds are closed and it's bright daylight outside, and what you don't see is that she's wearing a bright green sweater because the camera picks up light and dark. So you need to be very careful of lighting that is behind you. And that's the importance of having the light in front of you. Here's another example of being backlit. So I had, and you could see on the left side, it's bright daylight outside, but I advised her to turn off the chandelier and bring the lamp in front of her as opposed to behind her. Because here you can't even see her face, which of course doesn't feel good. You know, especially if you're speaking to somebody, it's an uncomfortable feeling. So, and ideally what you want, if you could have a window in front of you, that would be the ideal situation, because this way the light is even left and right, and usually it's the most beautiful of light. I understand that not everybody has that, so if you have perhaps a window on the side of you, I have some suggestions or some lights that you can purchase. So this is one light that I suggest. If you look to the right-hand side of the picture, you see this small light with a clip. And this is a great little light because it has a warm, neutral, and cool light. So depending upon the light in your room or the light coming from your screen, you might want to change it to more of a yellow light, more of a whiter light, just to change the color of your skin. You could also put it on your computer, your monitor, your desk. You can move around with it. So, and it's $35. It's not very expensive. If you look on the left side of your screen, you could see larger ring lights on a tripod. You might not need that, but the reason I'm showing that is because they have a desk-size tripod with a small light as well. So maybe that might be a better option for you. And you can see here's the website, sociallightlighting.com, and I highly recommend this light. Here's another light that you could purchase. This is Loom Cube, and I have no affiliation with either of these companies. And this actually has a suction cup that sucks onto the back of your computer, but you could put it on the top. You could put it on the right side. You could put it on the left side. You could put it where you need it. It also has a cover, so it diffuses the light, so it's not quite so intense on your face, so it doesn't look like you have a spotlight on your face. And this is battery operated, and I believe it's $69. So one of the ways to diffuse the light, so this is actually my light that is on my right-hand side, and one of the things that I have done, and I think this is a great, this is one of the things that I suggest to to clients, so when I'm working with them on Zoom makeovers, is you could put fuchsia or pink and yellow post-its over your light. Or you could put colored fabric over a lamp. And what it does is it diffuses the light and it changes the color of the light. And the reason I choose fuchsia and yellow is because it actually helps create a peachier colored color on your skin. It takes away some of the blueness that the computer screen gives off, or sometimes there's additional lighting. It just softens it. And you could use different colors, but this creates a peachier look. And I highly recommend it. You know, sometimes you could put a scarf, you could put a dish towel, you could put different pieces of fabric over other types of lights as well, just to diffuse it. But the lighting is super important. So let's move on to the third part of my process, is background. What does your background actually say about you? You don't want it to be distracting, that's for sure. The red background was distracting. I find this also to be a little bit distracting because you're looking at all this stuff on her wall. You know, like, what is this on the right? Are those maps? Are those drawings? You know, and then, oh, there's a calendar. Is that her marketing calendar, or her social calendar? And it's sometimes a little bit difficult to focus in on her. And that, I believe, is the main point, is that you want people to focus in on you. You want your background to be clean and neat. You don't want messes. You don't want stacks of paper. You want your books to be vertical on a bookshelf. If they're horizontal, they're leaning to the left, they're leaning to the right. If you notice on all the news broadcasts, they're interviewing all these people at home, they often have them stand in front of a bookshelf, and the books are perfectly vertical because it's what our eyes are used to seeing, and then it becomes benign. You don't notice it. I'm also a big believer that it's really nice to have some plants in your background. It softens the room a little bit. If you were to go meet somebody in a cafe, it's always lovely when there's plants and flowers. So I'm a really big believer in that. And this is just an example. If you put some plants and flowers, it's softer, it's more welcoming. And it just creates, especially people are at home, and our homes aren't always desirable in terms of what our background is. So if you don't need to use a virtual background, I highly recommend getting some type of plant or flower and putting it. It doesn't have to completely be in the scene. It could be half out of the scene as well. And this is just an example of when the light is focused on your face, you are the main event. People can focus on you, and your background kind of becomes secondary. But again, there's a little bit of green that acts as a nice contrast, but the lighting is so important. Now this also works. I was on a meeting and I took a screenshot of this woman, and I lived in Amsterdam for 10 years. And when I lived there, one of the things that I did, I studied European art, and in particular the Dutch masters. And all the artists, they have lines of perspective. And if you notice on this visual, on the far left-hand side, there's a lampshade that's up to the left, but on her right. So if you draw a line from the top of the lampshade to the opposite corner where the picture frames are, her eyes are exactly in the middle. But that's what your eyes picks up. It picks up the light on the left, her eyes in the middle, and the black and white picture frames on the bottom right. And her eyes are focused right in the middle of that line. And that's why I feel this works, even though I'm not a big fan of black and white. Speaking of black and white, so step 4 is in my process is what color clothing looks best on you in your space, because everybody's sitting in a different space. But the camera picks up dark and light. It doesn't necessarily pick up colors. So white comes to the foreground, black recedes to the background. So be careful of dark colored clothing. Even if it's not black, if it's really dark, you might recede to the background. So in general, I say no white, no black. White is sometimes a little bit too glaring. Although this is a good example of black and white because your eye goes right to the collar, not the whole, it's not wearing white completely, but it goes right to the collar, which is the same color white as her teeth and the whites of her eyes. So it pulls you right into her face, which is exactly where you want people to look. You want people to look you in the face, in the eye. So my suggestion on clothing, wear solid colors. That is what's best. Because even though you are maybe like to wear prints, but you are not just your person anymore. You are you in your space, in your surroundings, which is already a print, because there's furniture, there's lighting, there's a bookshelf, there's a desk, there's different things that are in your square, in your box, and you are just part of it. So if you wear solid colors, you will stand out from everything that's around you while you're on your Zoom or Skype call. Solid colors are best. It doesn't always matter the color. Even though I'm a color consultant and I'm really picky about colors. But what you don't want is you don't want to wear busy prints. It's too distracting. Even though she's wearing this busy print on a solid green background, it's a pretty harsh look if you have to look at this for an hour. So wear solid colors in a calm, non-distracting background. And lastly, the last step I have is makeup. And I have some makeup tips, but what you want is you want to highlight, and again, the camera picks up light and dark, so you want to highlight under your cheekbones. So you want your cheekbones to be the highest point, so they would stay neutral colored, and you would highlight under your cheekbones and under your chin. For light-skinned women, you don't want any shimmer or iridescence. For dark, which goes for your lipstick as well. For dark-skinned women, you want the opposite. You might want a little shimmer to add to balance the light and the dark. And I'm happy to answer any questions about makeup afterwards. So I have 3 ways that I do Zoom makeovers. I do individual sessions, one-on-one, it's 90 minutes for $195. I also speak to organizations and companies that I have group presentations that I give to organizations. And lastly, I also do Zoom makeover workshops. It's actually, I call them Zoom makeover parties. They're 90 minutes, it's 10 people max. It's only $35 a person. And right now I've got 4 upcoming Zoom makeover parties, workshops. You might want to take a screenshot of this page. I'm happy to send, if you want to email me, I can send you the links to these days. They're super fun. It's just a maximum of 10 people. And in real time, we are tweaking all, going through the process and tweaking everything in your screen. And I'm making suggestions in real time. So Zoom makeovers, it's look your best, feel more confident, and gain more respect from the people that you're speaking to, because now all of a sudden you're inviting people into your home. And I help create a statement about who you are and the organization you represent, because that's super important now that we're all at home. We also create an aesthetically pleasing background that works for your space, and we talk about lighting and the best colors of clothing and makeup for you in your space. And I want to thank you very much. And if you feel free to contact me, here's my email address and my website. And I would be happy to talk to anybody if you have any questions. And I'm going to stay on for questions.
Yeah, feel free to unmute yourself and ask Shelley a question. There are no questions in the chat right now.
Julia, I see that you have you're raising your hand.
I don't want to say I have a question, but I'm not sure if anybody noticed, but I will start moving and changing while you were talking. And yes, it does a big difference. So I adjust the lighting so it will be in front of me, because yes, in my situation, the only window I have is in the background, which, like you said, it's a bright white. And then in the beginning, my face, you could not see it at all. I adjust my shelf, which is a bookshelf, and I put that flower behind it, which is, yes, it's a little softy atmosphere. And I have to admit, I did put a little bit of a makeup, which I did not do at all when I start the meeting. I thought, who will see me? Nobody. Like, why should I do that? And then I saw you and I said, uh-huh. So jewelry-wise, I'm prepared, but face-wise, I'm not. So I'm sorry, I turned off my camera for a little bit. I was still listening to you because I have my headbuds. But I appreciate that, because now I know for future Zooms, and I participate in many, how my computer should stand in terms of what background, where my lamp's supposed to be. You don't see it. I don't want you or anybody to see my lamp. So in that picture that you showed, like where the eye's supposed to be and where the lamp is, I don't really like the lamp or anything in the picture. So the question would be, is it okay for anybody to see a lamp in a picture, or it's better not?
It's okay. I mean, ideally, like I actually have a lamp right here and right here. And if you do have a lamp, ideally it's best if it's a 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, so that it literally like comes across your body and it's not like straight in front of you in your eyes or your glasses. You know, you don't want reflections.
Right.
And so ideally it's best not to have the lamp show, because you want to look as natural and beautiful as possible. You know, just with assorted, like I have 2 lamps here. I have a light on the cabinet, and I have a lamp on the plant. So I kind of have staged this my little space here a little bit, but I try to make it look natural, and I think that's what people want. They want it to look natural.
Okay,
you know, Shelley,
thank you so much.
One of the things that I wanted to mention when you talk about lighting, for a while, I've always had my laptop here with my window behind me. And so that was comfortable. But then when I started to do Zoom meetings or presentations, like you said, you know, you want people to see your face and you don't want the darkness, because it makes it a little bit harder for people to feel like you're talking to them. And so I invested in the light. Like you said, it was such an easy thing to do. And just playing around with the different settings to try to figure out what was comfortable. I found that to make a significant impact. And then for me, as far as makeup is concerned, I really know very little about makeup, but I found that if I wear lipstick, I feel like at least, you know, I'm not disappearing into the background.
For women, I feel it's really important, sorry guys, that if you have, so like one of the things I try to do is, like in, you know, it's almost like it's the curb appeal. When you're looking at somebody in the screen, it's like when you look at a house on the street, it's not just the house, it's the house and the garden, and it's the whole visual that you see. So it's your curb appeal. And so, and then of course, but when they're talking to you, you want to be a bullseye. You want to be the bullseye. So this is nice, but you want people to focus in on you. So if you have enough light on your face, and then for women to act as a bullseye, again, the bullseye is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So if you have, make sure you have eyebrows showing, if you have blonde or silver eyebrows, or if you have glasses that maybe have a more color. I see, Maureen, you have a very light colored glass. Your glasses are very light in color. So you've got a top part of your bullseye frame, and you've got your bottom, and that would be your lips. And so that is, like you mentioned, putting lipstick on, but then you've got an equal bullseye top and bottom. And so that's sometimes I feel the benefit of wearing a slightly darker lipstick. And I also, it's the makeup tricks that I have for women to contour your cheeks is it helps give definitions. But just like a painting, if you're thinking like a painter has a flat piece of canvas and they have to create the illusion of three-dimensional, they have to create the illusion of body parts and muscles. And so it's all about shading. So if you have shading under your cheekbone, under your jawbone, you don't have the unineck chin. You also don't want a light on top of you that's shining down, because then you get shadows under your nose and under your chin. So you, like I could see Maureen and Julia, you have lights on windows on your left. So you would want to compensate that with a light on your right. And Louise, I can see your lighting is great, but I would ideally bring your camera up so that you are looking straight into the camera and we're not looking at your ceiling. And same with you, Maureen, as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Another question.
Yes.
Is it better to have like whatever natural background, or is it better to have a virtual background, like some people put like, I don't know, flowers or anything at all?
I mean, first of all, personally, I usually suggest a natural background if you have a pleasant background. But some people,
so like this, will it do?
Yes, but you know, sometimes it's a little distracting, because now I'm going to start looking at the flowers. And if you move, maybe your hair is going to do this, you know.
Okay. Anything like this? I don't know.
I find it a little distracting. I think your background was nice enough. You know, sometimes people are in a kitchen or they're in a garage, and that is the only place that they have to speak. Excuse me. And so then it's not quite as nice. And then I do suggest a virtual background. But the one thing, if you know, you could put different virtual backgrounds. You could take your own photograph. You can take a photo off of the web and upload it into your virtual backgrounds. But if you're doing that, my suggestion to you is to make sure the perspective, you know, if you're, say you're going to take a photograph of what looks like an office. Oh, that looks like a nice office, or that looks like a nice living room. Like, oh, I'll just like, you know, screenshot that, upload it to my Zoom virtual background. But you want the perspective to be the same. So I was doing a Zoom makeover with a gentleman who's very soft-spoken, very thoughtful. He does emotional coaching. And he had this virtual background of a living room with a beautiful Italian sofa with beautiful windows, but it looked like he was sitting on the floor. Because the camera, the way the camera captured this picture, it was as though the camera was sitting on the floor shooting up to the living room. So it looked like he was sitting on the floor. You know, the sofa, these low Italian sofas were up there. So you need the perspective to look natural if you want to create a natural looking virtual background. Does that answer your question on virtual backgrounds?
Yeah. Thank you. I tend to use them because my background is just wood shutters, and depending on the time of day, you see the sunlight coming through them. Yeah, and then I'll have reflections on my glasses as well. So that's another thing I contend with.
You know, and also with virtual backgrounds, if you really feel that a virtual background is something that you need, you might want to spend like $40 and get a green screen. And they're, you know, you can get like a 3x3 or 4x4. You can get small ones. They're not a lot of money. And the purpose of them is then you don't, you know, you're not growing and you know, things aren't moving. You know, if you're moving your hands or you have a cup of something, it's not going to come in and out of the scene. And so that's the advantage of a green screen. Or you could just have a plain white wall. Like I did a woman attended one of my Zoom makeover parties, and she was in her garage, and she was using the back of her garage door which was white with maybe a little bit of some hardware at the joints. But it worked because it was, for the most part, the same color. And it's flat and the same color. And so like Maureen, you've got like a plain wall behind you. I don't know how plain it is, but from my visual, it looks
pretty plain.
pretty plain.
We've
So-
taken stuff off.
So with that respect, it could act as that neutral, flat background if you chose to put a virtual background behind you.
Okay.
But on Maureen's, we could see the ceiling. Is that too much
Yeah.
ceiling?
Well, you know why? I had problems on the computer signing in, so I'm on my phone.
Oh, okay.
And I'm
Yeah.
trying, it would be too much ceiling, but my phone's way down here. I would have to be here. If I hold it up, my arm will die.
Right, of
I
course.
see. Yeah.
And I can see you're on your phone because your picture is, you know, it's narrowed. It's not the full width that everybody else is.
Oh, okay. I get it.
Yes, but
Yeah.
you want to be able to sit comfortably. You know, some people say, should I lean back? And the thing about Zoom etiquette, you know, if we were all in person and you lean 4 inches to the right, nobody would notice. If you stand back 4 inches, nobody's going to notice. But on Zoom, because we are right here, anything you move will be noticed, you know?
Mhm.
You know, your camera is not moving with you. So you need to be very conscientious of your movements. You know, if you lean back, you want to best to lean in. Of course, it's not always best for your posture to sit leaning in, but that feels more engaging, that people feel that they are engaging with you, that you know, you are leaning in. You're not leaning back, because all of a sudden, even though I lean back 4 or 5 inches, I completely shrink in my screen.
Mhm.
So small little movements, small details of lighting, it all matters.
Okay. You've got a lot of compliments in the chat window. Great tips. We appreciate your time today, Shelley. I think we
Yes.
went a little bit over, so thank you so much for staying with us.
You're welcome. And feel
Thank
free,
you.
if anybody has any questions, Pauline has my contact information, and I'd be more than happy to help anybody with any questions, or also if you know of any groups who are looking to have any speakers or companies who want me to come in and speak to their employees. This is something that I'm doing, and I'm really passionate about helping people look good online.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
It's
and
been
thank you,
very helpful.
Pauline.
Yeah,
you.
thank you so much,
Thank you.
everyone. And thanks for joining
Thanks so
us.
much for
And
this.
You're
yeah,
welcome.
don't forget that we have our July 4th fundraising auction. It's live right now, so please log on. It's bit.ly/July 4th, the number 4, TH auction. So if you have any questions about reaching that, contact me. So lots of good prices out there to bid on. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks,
You too.
Pauline.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.